Hi, I'm Elena, welcome to my channel. If you're newer, hi, I'm Elena. I make booktube videos about classics, about some contemporary, historical fiction, feminism, history. Today I want to do something different than usual because I have been reading quite a lot of the mini classics in the past year. So I thought it was time to do a tier ranking video where I'm going to tier rank the 30 mini classics I have read, give you a little bit of an overview of how I experienced reading these mini classics, whether I think they're worth it overall. So I am in no way there yet with finishing all of these books, but these were the ones that either you recommended to me or that spoke to me most and that I've read. So I'm not going to make this too difficult, and I have 5 tiers. The first one is mind blown because some of these absolutely blew my mind. It's a tier I'm going to save for a few special ones. Then I have one would recommend, something that I thought was interesting, probably gave 4 stars and that I think very interesting to read more by the author. Then I have a regular 3 star, which I think for me is like an enjoyable book but pretty forgettable, not really that interesting to read more by the author. And then I have 2 harsh ones. One is they had a space left over, which is a bit harsh. These are for the books that just didn't really do anything for me and I didn't really feel like they had any added value in the box, and then I want my money back. A few that made me angry or that I thought were really a waste of my time and I wish I had picked another one, or that they would have put another one in the box. I will start out with the black classics and then I will do the modern classics. I will leave timestamps in the description if you're only interested in one of those two. But let's get started. I have not really prepared very well for this, so I have no clue how it's going to look, but we'll see. Okay, the first one is Gooseberries by Anton Chekhov, which definitely would recommend. I really enjoyed that one. Thought were really 3 short stories and they were really good. Second one is Jane Austen, The Beautiful Cassandra. It pains me to give a 3 star to anything Jane Austen, but they were youthful writings and they were fun but not that impressive, so a regular 3 star. Emily Bronte, The Night is Darkening Round Us was mind-blowing. It took me a little bit to read it, but the poetry is so good and so special. I think what I liked about it most is that it was quite ambiguous, so I could read it about 3 times and still find new things, so definitely mind-blowing. Ooh, and then the second one is I Hate and I Love, which was a regular 3 star for me. It was fine, it was fun, but a little heavy on the misogyny. Would not necessarily recommend that one. Charles Darwin. It was snowing butterflies. I want my money back. I didn't have that one. I really didn't like it. It was hard to read. A lot of details on nature and animals and just imperialistic shit that I just wasn't in for. Ooh, Elizabeth Gaskell, The Old Nurse's Story, would definitely recommend. I really enjoyed that. It's a dark story, kind of turn of the screw like, but I liked this writing a little bit better than Henry James's. I think it's more straightforward. Definitely loved that. Hans Christian Andersen, The Tinderbox. I think a regular 3 star. There were a few fairy tales. Some I liked more than others. I really liked the Red Shoes fairy tale, I think. But the other ones were a bit disappointing, so I would say a regular 3 star. Thomas Hardy, Woman Much Missed. Okay, I think you cannot put Thomas Hardy and They Had Space Left Over. But I'm going to put it there because I really did not connect with the poetry. I really feel like Thomas Hardy is way better in prose. But I think it's also personal because I know a lot of people do like his poetry, but I just couldn't connect with it. Mary Kingsley, A Hippo Banquet. I want my money back. I think her stories and her writing was kind of okay, but it was very problematic and I don't feel that it should have taken up space in the box. Ooh, The Meek One by Dostoevsky. That one was really good. I think would recommend. I had never read anything by Dostoevsky and I'm not really planning, I think, on reading an entire novel by him just because I'm not that interested. But I did really like The Meek One, which is just one short story of about 50 pages. Very interesting perspective on marriage. Charlotte Perkin Gilman, or the Yellow Wallpaper. Yeah, mind-blowing, I think. The Yellow Wallpaper itself is a very good and very famous short story. Definitely something you should read at some point. But what I liked most was the last story in the collection. Can't remember its name, but it felt a little bit like a Greek retelling with a very feminist ending, and I thought that was just so cool. Oh, this one I read recently, Johann Peter Hebel, which is a very long title I can't read right now, but it are German fables and I wanted my money back because, No, I wasn't mad about it, so I think I'm going to do Had They Had Space Left Over. I think even in its own time, it wasn't very good. It was very moralizing, very repetitive. Yeah, the stories really weren't that good. It had nothing on the Grimm fairy tales or anything like that, so yeah, they had space left over. Because the Grimm fairy tales were already in there. And I guess they wanted 2 German authors. Cristina Rossetti, Goblin Market. Would definitely recommend it. I really enjoyed that. I think Goblin Market is very cleverly and beautifully written. Might be a bit problematic, but I didn't really look at that at the time when I read it. But I think you can get a lot out of it, both good and bad. But it's a very interesting read that I would recommend. The Saga of Serpentong. Yes, another would recommend. I read this recently and it are Icelandic fables, mythology, something like that. Which was very interesting. And it has a poetry battle between 2 soldiers. So I don't think I need to say anything else. Okay, we have Herman Melville, the Maldive Shark. Okay, I'm going to put this in I Want My Money Back because I know people love it. Kieran from KD Books recommended it to me. So They Had Space Left Over. I don't think so because a lot of people appreciated it, but I didn't. And I think for the same way as I didn't really appreciate Charles Darwin, it's just not my kind of adventure story, adventure writing. Right, and then the last one that I've read from Little Bad Classics was Walt Whitman. I'm really sorry, I know people are going to be mad, but I want my money back. Because again, They Had Space Left Over is not applicable here because Walt Whitman is a favorite of many. But it's also not a regular 3-star because the ones I put in a 3-star I kind of liked. And I did not like Walt Whitman. I thought it was very egocentric and a little bit pretentious. I did not enjoy that. So this one is a hard one because I do recognize that the poetry was quite well. So for that I would put it on a regular 3-star. I, as a person, really didn't like it. So no, I'm going to put it, I want my money back. Please don't unsubscribe to my channel if you are a Walt Whitman fan. I'm sorry. Okay, and then on to the mini modern classics. I feel like these are going to be rated higher in general. I usually prefer modern classics over the more older classics. So we'll see. We'll start with the short stories by Clarice Lispector, which were mind-blowing. They were so good, so impressive. In very little words, she creates an entire world. Food by Gertrude Stein. They Had Space Left Over. I think this is something you need to appreciate. You need to appreciate weird poetry to like that, and I think to put it in a box, it didn't fit there. It's too weird, it's too specific. I had a good laugh, but it wasn't supposed to be funny, so I don't think I got it. Jean Rhys, Still September Petronella. I really love Jean Rhys as an author. I really love Writer Cause I See, but these short stories were more of a regular 3-star. They were okay, but I can't remember a whole lot about them, so I think bit forgettable. Primo Levi, The Survivor, regular 3-star. I definitely recognize the importance of his poetry about the Second World War, about the Holocaust. But the poetry itself I didn't think was that good, but nevertheless important. Catherine M. Porter, Through the Looking Glass. I can't remember anything from these stories, so I'm afraid it's going to be in a regular 3-star. What I can remember is that the Craig Looking Glass made me think of Alice in Wonderland, so I had very wrong expectations of that little mini classics. Yeah, regular 3-star because I don't remember anything. Audre Lorde, The Master's Tool Will Never Dismantle the Master's House. Mind-blowing. Anything I've read by Audre Lorde was absolutely mind-blowing. I would definitely recommend this, and then you should definitely read Sister Outsider, which is the entire collection after that. There are essays about feminism, about race, about sexuality, and just, it's mind-blowing. Daphne du Maurier, The Breakthrough, a regular 3-star. I loved Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I gave that 5 stars, but this short story was very sci-fi, evil scientist, and it didn't really do much for me. I didn't think it was that interesting. A little bit boring, to be honest, even though the writing was nice and fast-paced. The story itself didn't do much. Italo Calvino, The Distance of the Moon. This is also sci-fi. And I'm not a big sci-fi reader, but this kind of blew my mind. I don't even know how to talk about sci-fi because I know so little about it. It was very impressive. I thought this was a very impressive piece of sci-fi, and any short story, which had about 15 pages each, gave me such a strong visual and very confident in future sci-fi reading. Patrick Kavanagh, The Great Hunger, They Had Space Left Over. Patrick Kavanagh is an Irish poet and he wrote a lot about the potato famine, I think it's called in English. Of course, that is a very important piece of history in time to talk about, to write poetry about, but I thought the poems themselves were quite bare and a bit boring. Didn't do much for me. Françoise Sagan, The Gigolo. a regular 3-star. Low-key love stories from the 70s. Which, I mean, it was fun to read, but it wasn't anything special. Shirley Jackson, The Missing Girl. Somewhere in between these, but I'm going to put it at would recommend because I think Shirley Jackson is a really cool writer. You should definitely give her short stories a go as well. These were 3 short stories and they are very suspenseful and really cool to read, so definitely would recommend. Susan Sontag, Notes on Camp. I think I'm going to put it at a regular 3-star. I thought the essays were unnecessarily difficult for the subject matter, which I think is a bit how Susan Sontag writes. But what she said was really interesting. I just thought the package was unnecessarily difficult, so I didn't really enjoy it that much. Samuel Beckett, The End. Would recommend. Very, very strange and dark stories about, I think, 2 homeless men. Both stories are about a homeless man. But it was the kind of story that I don't think I've ever read before. Maybe that would be the same for you, to read from the perspective of someone who is homeless. Then I think the last one might be my favorite mini classics of all of them, and that is Of Dog and Wolves by Yuki Tsushima, which was mind-blowing. This mini classic contains 2 Japanese short stories from, I think, the 1960s, 70s, second half of the 20th century at least, and they are so good and full and visualizing, and I said that I would reserve the mind-blowing part for just a few favorites, but I've put 6 on there. If you want to read anything from that collection, these are the ones I would recommend. So do with that what you like. I think value-wise, if I look at the color differences, I definitely think that the mini modern classics are more worth my money than the little black classics are for my personal reading taste. But yeah, this was quite fun to do. Not very surprising. I kind of knew which ones I absolutely loved and which ones I didn't like. I'm definitely going to read more mini classics because I have so many to go. So many. Not that it is my goal to finish them within a certain amount of time. This is just a collection that I can pick and choose from anytime I like. So thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, go check out some vlogs where I read this. It's all good fun, and I hope to see you in another video. Doei!